fly a starship across the universe divide. And when I reach the other side,
Hey, look at that. We got all three of us. Bam. What's happening, fellas?
What's going on?
This is my first time hosting the show. I got some really weird news about Space Window. You in here, Mundo? Can we hear you? He froze. Yeah, we'll give him a minute and see if it catches up. There he is.
He's still setting up.
Cool. Well, I'm going to go full screen mode and keep checking back for Harris. This is your first time to the show. I'm Dave Maltese, Jedi Arms Dealer. This is Rob of Lightsabers. And then this is Mundo Munday, and we're waiting for Mundo to come in. We'll wait till we can hear Mundo before I talk about the distress call I received from the Destiny. Stuff's about to get interesting. So what'd you think, Rob? Talk to me. Let's go ahead and kick it off with talking about Obi-Wan. What'd you think?
I thought it was a good episode.
Me too.
I enjoyed it more than all the other ones so far.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. Yeah, it was my favorite moment was the Starkiller moment when he grabbed the ship. I was like,
oh, that was so epic. I love that they finally showed his what I would hope would be like maybe just a fraction of his full power, because he just yanked that thing down and tore the doors off of it and pieces off of it. And I was just like, fuck yeah, that's what we need to see.
Yes, cool. They went there. I was like, they finally did it. Like, just showed him all out. I loved it. That was so cool. The writing was better. I did see that someone else wrote this episode versus some of the usuals, so that makes sense. I love seeing the thermal detonators in there because I just built 3 of those, and she had a shiny new one, which I had never seen on screen before. It looked pretty cleaned up.
Yeah.
So when I got them from KR Sabers, I bought like a clean version, and then have my buddy Weather my other one. So I have one of each. So I was super stoked to see, like, she had just, it looked that pristine. I don't know, you know how it is, but yeah, I don't know. Mundo gonna get in here? He's frozen right on his face. Oh man.
He's having
Right.
technical difficulties.
Yeah. It's all good. But yeah,
I like the twist with Reva and Harris called that. He totally called that.
Yeah, that's why I can't wait for him to come in here because we got to give him props for sure. He was dead on that. That's amazing. All right, got some movement. What's happening, Mundo? All right, Harris
Yo,
still isn't in.
Jeremy is in the chat. What's
Oh,
up,
cool.
Space?
What? Space is in here?
He's in the chat.
Oh, wow. So he's okay. I love it. Still can't hear Mundo. I show his microphone active, so. Can you hear us, Mundo? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear us. No, I can't hear you. Can you hear us? Say. Okay.
Hold on.
Oh, I heard a click.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
I can now. Yep. Gotcha, buddy. Awesome.
Okay. Hold on just
There.
a second.
No worries. In the meantime, I'll pull a space window.
All right. So
Now it's Mundo Monday.
I'm on an old phone here, just to let you guys know, and I got a microphone for this laptop. This old phone here. So, can you hear me really well? Is it coming through okay?
Yeah.
Really well. Yeah. Really
Okay.
super clear.
Cool.
Yeah, man.
So I thought I'd give it a try. I had it plugged in, but apparently it was not letting me talk at all without, with it being plugged in. So I'm not sure how that was. But just in case something goes wrong, I have the laptop right behind it, so I can get on there if need be. So I got my backup. And I got my triple backup too, guys. I got my triple backup.
Yeah. Cheers, buddy. Mundo Monday.
So, cheers.
I got some
How you doing, Rob?
What's going on, Mundo?
Just getting home from work, buddy.
Cheers.
Gotta love it. So how you guys doing tonight?
Doing good.
Real good. Yeah, I love the last episode. Can't wait to talk about it with you guys. It was pretty freaking cool. Let me see if Harris is in here yet. No, not yet. Okay.
So what's on the agenda for tonight?
Well, I was gonna wait on Harris, but I don't know when he's gonna come in here. But so I was gonna kind of play a joke on space, and so I wrote this thing down. It says, "My droid just received a distress call from Space Windu's starship, the Destiny. Looks like Space Windu is missing. This video transmission is all over the hologram channels, and it looks like it's from the Empire Disney." So this is what I'm seeing on the news. I don't know if you guys have seen this yet or not, but I'm a little worried for him because this looks pretty serious. All right.
Perhaps you're referring to the imminent attack on your rebel fleet. Your friends up there on the sanctuary moon are walking into a trap. An entire legion of my best troops awaits them. I'm afraid the deflector shield will be quite operational when your friends arrive.
Space was supposed to be our only hope, but no, it's Jedi Arms Dealer who's our only hope tonight.
Oh shit, that's scary. Yeah, he gave me control of the Destiny. I hope I don't wreck this bitch.
That's funny. Okay, here's one of the things that I would kind of want to start off on, if you'll allow me to.
Of course.
Tonight I want to talk about, the newbies like myself, and I've been hearing a lot of stuff going on that, they're asking questions, which is great. So understand, people, that there are no such thing as stupid questions. But one of the things that I do want to tell you, and I have to thank Lando from Lando Sabers, because he put a video out explaining that with installers and other people that they get emails by the dozens, and I'm sure Rob and you, Dave, have gotten quite a bit as well. Um, emails and so forth, about questions that it's the same question over and over and over and over again. And then you have some other people that buy a product without doing their research, without looking at videos, looking at paperwork, going through different things, going through different avenues, and learning things before they buy and doing stuff. So this is for you guys, you installers, and I'm trying to help get the word out, coming from a newbie like myself. And for people that are just now getting into this hobby, understand it's an actually an awesome badass hobby. But before you do anything, before you go and ask some questions, watch tons of videos, do your research, because yes, there's hundreds of thousands of people asking the same question, but your questions can be answered just with a little bit of research. Go to YouTube videos like you're seeing us talk right now to each other and having fun and talking about sabers. That is a learning mechanism right there. Just watching stuff like what we do, what we say, if want to learn a specific item, like learning how to make blades, Rob Pedcal has tons of videos, in instructional videos that you can learn. I learned from those videos, and I tell you, it took me a whole year, a whole year, just to even get started with anything at all. Because yes, I was hearing people ask these questions, but these installers, they have lives too. They have limited time as well. And if somebody's coming with the same question over and over and over again, you know, do your homework a little bit, people, before you ask a question, because 99% of the time you can find that answer before you really need the help. And and as well as, like myself, again, it took me a whole year just to even come up with the design of my friend's memory saber. I mean, a whole year. And because I wanted something that I liked. I wanted feedback from people. I wanted feedback from certain things. I wanted to learn how to make my own blades. So I watched Rob's videos probably 1,000 times on how to make a blade before I even attempted one single thing of solder. Anything, even buying something. It took me a whole year just to get the courage up to do that. But hundreds of hours of watching videos, reading text, and so forth. So for those newbies, again, please understand, do your research, and don't get anything, don't buy anything until you do, because you could lose a lot of money with all these people that don't care about your product. They gonna sell you a product that's total shit, probably. And if you're not careful, they'll take advantage of you in every way they can. You're gonna lose that money, and then you're gonna get discouraged from getting into this hobby. And thanks, Titan. And and Cal and all these other makers, installers, they're willing to help you. They are willing to help everybody that they can, but it's limited time on their help. And if you have certain questions, like I said, there's no such thing as a stupid question, But if everybody's asking that same question and all they got to do is look it up, you know, find the answer. Before you really need the help, look for the answer. And if you can't find it in text, if you can't find it in video, and you can't find it in the manual, then by all means, go ahead. Ask the installers. Guys, am I wrong on this point?
Not
No,
at
you're
all.
spot on. Definitely, people. My recommendation when people ask me about tips and stuff is always tell them be organized. Number one is try to be as organized as possible because that'll make your process a lot easier. And I've always been OCD in that sense when I do my builds. Is I always try to lay out. I have a plan of action and how to attack what I'm going to do, and then I follow through with it. But then there's when it comes to building a saber and install, for instance, like if you're going to install a saber, you have to go through, okay, I have the hilt, do I have the chassis? Does everything fit properly? Can I test fit everything? Do I have all the parts that are necessary to complete this build? Can I test fit everything to make sure everything's going to fit properly? So when I do wire everything up, I know that it's going to work how it's supposed to work because I test fit it. I don't want to, like, for instance, like me, that I design my own stuff. I pretty much do everything myself, except for actually making the boards. I always test fit everything. I always make sure everything's going to fit, everything clicks, everything works before I go ahead and start wiring stuff up, because it would really suck ass to spend X amount of hours wiring something up, putting it all together, and then when you're ready to actually assemble it, like put it all the pieces, bring it to life, it doesn't fit right, or something's not making contact. That's like, so you want to save yourself that headache. And I always tell my people that ask me, like, just be organized. There's tons of videos on how to solder. Learn how to solder first as well. Well, not first, but like it's one of the steps you definitely want to get down before you start doing installs. We just lost Mundo. Are you okay, Mundo?
Yep. I moved over there. I sure did. I moved. Sorry, guys.
No, you're good.
We thought your ship crashed. We got worried for a second.
He's being attacked.
I got too much stuff. I got too much stuff on the table. Too much stuff on the table, and I'm trying to.
Same here.
Yeah, so like I was saying, make sure everything fits properly. Your chassis is good. Make sure your wire management is super important, because you don't want to start wiring stuff and then you're gonna try to cram it in. You're gonna pinch wires. They're gonna break, especially when you're doing like speaker wires, switch wires. You don't need to go thick on those, and you wanna use like maybe a 30 gauge, even depending on how tight it fit, maybe even 32. The highest I would recommend would be 28 gauge on the switch and speaker wires. Anything big higher than that's really not necessary. I personally use 30 gauge, but my point is that if you're doing a cram-fu install, like, things can go wrong real quick, and I'll show you here as an example. So this hilt right here, this is a Corband V1 crossguard that I machined, and I made it into a bend solo version. So I machined all this and made it solid straight. I took out the quillions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys are familiar with this hilt, the ID is 7/8. It's really small in there. There's not much room. So when I designed the chassis for this thing, I was like, I'm gonna put a crystal chamber in it. I'm going to like make this work, and I'm gonna make it a removable battery. So there, you just saw me. Well, I don't know if you saw me, but here's the chassis for it. This is all 7/8. This is a CFX board, a brass crystal chamber that I machined as well.
That's tight.
A 28 millimeter speaker, fully removable battery. Battery comes right out, as you can see, and pixel. So I crammed all this in to a 7/8 chassis, 22.2 millimeter chassis.
Beautiful.
And there's no wires. You don't see any wires. You don't see like anything messy. It's all nice and clean. and you want your installs to look like this. You don't want have wires hanging out, or because they can get damaged in your process of install, or even later down the road when you're like, okay, I'm playing with it and something got messed up because you got stuff poking out. So wire management is huge, is what I'm trying to get at. Is definitely watch your wire management as well, and take your
And
time.
there's plenty of videos for that.
Yeah, there's plenty of. Make sure you braid. I always braid my wires. My wires are always braided because it just, it's just the way we do things, right? We keep them nice and clean that way. They don't like spaghetti up because you keep them nice and braided. So you're set. Those are my main recommendations: is make sure everything fits, make sure you got all your components, and wire management and soldering. Well, if you get that down, you're pretty much good to go on everything else. So it just depends. But for the most part, those are my main recommendations to people that ask me, hey, I'm going to do an install. What do you recommend? Okay, this is what I recommend.
Yeah, Rob nailed it. The only thing I could maybe add to that at all is when I first started, tinkering around with this stuff, I did the TCSS videos. Rob Petkow's series is amazing for learning how to solder. And it's what's great about it is you're getting to see him solder on sabers. You're not just watching any soldering tutorial videos. You're actually getting to see him working it on the job type of thing, which I loved. I learned so much from those videos. My other piece of advice along the lines of what Mundo is talking about is, if you guys are on Facebook, and join as many lightsaber groups as you can, depending on, what you're doing, Profi support, CFX support. But what I'll do when I get stuck is once you enter the group, you do a search, in the search window for the subject of the question that you're looking for within that group. If you have a Profi question and say you're confused on how many data channels there are, or how many data channels there are currently now on the CFX, you can search within those groups. And that's 9 times out of 10 how I'm able to find what I'm looking for. It's only like the really super deep stuff when I'm trying to break new ground or do something that no one's ever done before that I have to actually get in and ask. Like Brian Connor, who's like the master programmer, on Profi, or Irv himself on CFX. Those guys are just amazing. So agreed, Mundo.
Yeah. And see, like I said, it's taken me 3 years just to get close to installing my first NeoPixel. Okay. I've actually installed, one that's already pretty much just plug and play type, but I built a chassis for my cousin. And here's the thing is that I have access to these guys to ask questions. But guys, how often have I ever asked a question to you guys? Really, within my build. Have I asked you guys anything just yet? No, because to me, and again, I feel the same way as Lando had felt, is that you need to do your research. You need to look up the answers, not have it done for you. I mean, there's one thing that if it's and the more that you can have, the more that you do for yourself, the more you learn, the more special it becomes to you. You want to do that install, you want to have this, you want to have that, but doing it for yourself instead of have somebody else do it for you, it brings it to another level. Now, if it's out of your league in terms of, being able to do certain things, let's say, okay, you don't have the ability of your hands to solder right. Yes, by all means, go to somebody, get it done. You don't have the means, you don't know how to program. I don't know how to program, but I'm willing to learn. And I'm dyslexic, but if it takes me, 3 years to learn it, I'll learn it. But once I learn it, I'm going to get it. You see, the thing is, and once you get it and you learn it and you do it for yourself instead of have somebody else do it for you, then it's that much more special. But then again, you got, friends that help you out. It's still special. It's still special to you as well. Because there's a lot of things, like right now, my skill level is nothing compared to these guys right now. Nothing. I mean, I am at the bottom of the can when it comes to these guys. And, but I'm willing to learn from them, willing to learn from the manual, willing to learn from the videos. And that is how, my builds are going to be special to me, because I can do certain builds and I may have like maybe one of these guys help me out and stuff. And that becomes even more special to me, because if they help me out, it's getting me to the next level. You see, it's getting me to the next level. Eris, how you doing? Chet, how you doing, guys? So what are your thoughts on this, guys, as far as Harris, what is your thoughts in terms of what I've been talking about?
Well, I came in a little late, but I think I'm catching on. And of course, it's a learning curve for everybody. Everybody's different. And I find, building lightsabers takes different skill sets. So my background, was never electronics. My background came from model RC car building when I was younger, and it's the same thing. When you build a model RC car, you get it in a kit, and, there's instructions in it. You follow the instructions, you put the wire to A, you put the wire to B. Then you take it out and you beat on it a little bit, and 9 times out of 10, it breaks. But because you built it yourself, you learn how to fix it. And the more that you work on sabers, the more you learn, So, it's a different skill set for everybody. Like I said, mine comes from, as a kid, I was a model builder as well. I used to love to build models, So, I mean, even lightsabers. I mean, you guys know I'm working on the Martin Bear saber. Been kicking my ass lately. There's no instructions with it. I mean, Martin does have a tutorial on his website, but there's no instructions for what we do. So, where Rob does something one way, Dave might do it another way. I might do it a different way. And you might learn your own way to do it, Mundo, and that's okay. When you're building a lightsaber, the ultimate goal is to get it working. There's no right or wrong,
Exactly.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because let me interrupt. Sorry to interrupt.
Nope.
When it comes to building your sabers, you can read all the manuals, you can look at all the videos, but ultimately you're gonna figure out what works best for you. And then once you figure that out, once you're like comfortable after trying different methods, because some people will tell you wire the board first and then run everything, or wire your stuff and then run it all to the board. I personally like to wire my board first and then just run the wires out. And it's easier for me that way. But there are some builds where that's just not feasible. So you're going to have to learn how to balance that and look at what you're working on and dissect, okay, this is how this would work. And it may or may not work if you're doing it how you planned on doing it. You may figure out that you had a plan of action, you're attacking it, and now you come to a spot where you're like, well, that's not going to work. So now I got to figure out something else.
Every saber's different, in my opinion.
Everything's different. For the most part, you'll get your basic general information on how to do chassis, on how to solder, on how wire management, on how to complete a build. But not every build is the same. Not every board is the same. Not every switch setup is the same. So you're going to have to be able to learn and adapt to that. And it's once you get the basic down and you get your method of operation going, then everything else just seems, at least for me, once I figured out how to do my soldering, my wiring, my installing, my chassis designs, my machining, once I figured all that out, now I have a base platform on what to go off of. But it doesn't always necessarily mean that I'm going to do it that way. I may intend on attacking it that way, but like I said, there's always something you're going to come across that is like, oh, no, that's not going to work. Let me figure something else out. And if it's kicking your ass, then take a break, step away, go do something else, and then come back. And then once you've cleared your mind and you're fresh, you can go back to it and then figure it out. If you come across that situation to where you just can't nail it or get it down, and just walk away. That's the best thing I can recommend. Just walk away, because as soon as you start getting frustrated, as soon as you start to hurry stuff up, that's when shit goes down the drain. You're gonna ruin your install. You're gonna ruin your hill. You're gonna damage parts. You're gonna damage boards.
Been there, done that.
It's gonna be even more of a nightmare. So
Yep.
as soon as you start
I want
getting
to say something real
frustrated,
quick. I don't know about you guys, but something I don't think most people realize is I have personally blown up and destroyed more boards than I've gotten to work. So don't get disgruntled. Don't get discouraged. It happens. Yeah, it's a lot of money, but move along. I mean, if you're trying to do something and it fails, pick yourself up, brush yourself off, and like Rob is saying, when the time is right, start again.
I mean, I destroyed my first board. And again, this is coming from a newbie, people. And this is coming from these guys, these guys up here that, have more experience than I do. And they can tell you I was more hard on myself than these guys were on me. I mean, I'm beating myself up, and these guys are telling me, hey, no. You need to chill out, get on the saddle, get back in there, get it going, get a new board, and go. I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, it's a learning curve, and it's just like riding a bike or riding a horse. You fall off, you get back on, and you get going. Let me ask you guys this. How did you feel with your aha moment, or that like, holy shit, that's working moment? What did it feel like?
it was special. It was definitely
Absolutely.
special.
Chills.
Yeah, that first boot up on any saber. I mean, even I built a bunch of sabers, and that first boot up, when the first turn it on and you hear the boot, and you turn it on and you hear the hum, it's the greatest feeling in the world.
It is.
It is. I mean, I can't agree more.
Yeah.
And so, and again, for everybody out there that's starting out, and you're hearing it from these guys, and these guys been doing it for a good while. You're gonna have some bumps in the road. Get it going, but again, my main point is, though, there is a lot of content and there is a lot of resources to go through to help you. Don't ever feel like you cannot find the answers. It's one thing that you're on limited time because maybe some health reasons or whatever, but like these guys say, take your time, find the resources. It is greatest feeling in the world when you can get that going. But there's a lot of people out there that choose not to take heed and to look at all the resources available to them. And it is sad that they're getting taken advantage of because they see something on YouTube, or they see something on this ad and this and this and that, and they go and purchase it, or they go and buy it, and they're like, Oh man, I should have never bought that. And that, and I feel sorry for you guys because you went and you're excited about the the hobby and you want to get into it and you buy your first saber and you're so excited, but then you run into that mess. But at the same time, if you had just said, seen some of these videos or read some of these articles, like which saber companies are good, which bad, and what to look out for, what not to look out for. Um, there's so much help out there. Take advantage of that help, please. From one newbie to another, take advantage of the help out there because not only will you help yourself, but you'll help these guys as well because they work hard. They install these day in and day out. They have regular jobs. They have regular lives. And when they have to stop what they're doing to kind of help you, knowing that the answer is right around the corner, come on, give these guys a break and go from there. Go from that point. But if you exhausted all avenues, you've gone through manuals, you've gone through books, you've gone through videos, you've gone through these help sites, all these websites that offer help, all these different things on Facebook, Instagram. If you cannot find your answer at that point in time, then yes, by all means, go ahead and ask them. But like I said, 99% of the time, you will be able to find those answers without asking these guys first. Mundo has spoken.
Agreed, Mundo. One of the things I like that Harris said was kind of like how he got into RC cars, and so that sort of like sparked his interest because he's like, hey, you know what? I know how to solder. I kind of have a basic understanding of assembly and electronics through RC cars, and I love that because that's a little bit kind of like my story too. I started off, in the Air Force straight out of high school, and I went into electronics. I was fixing like radar systems on B-52 bombers. So I learned how to solder and how electronics works and went to school for all that stuff. And then I got out of the military, and my very first job was installing car stereos and selling car stereos. And I was in love with that industry, buying subwoofers and speakers. So I learned like what speakers can do and sound and all this. Then I went into graphic design. That taught me computers and a little bit of programming. And then after that, I became a DJ for a long time, for the longest time. And I was like, wow, I know how to manipulate sound. I understand software. So what's funny is I told Space this before is when I saw Michael Murphy's, that interview video they did of him. It's like his big video with the Graflex. I'm trying to remember who did it, the interview with him. That was it. I saw that video and I was just like, I get to take all my weird little skill sets I've acquired over my lifetime and pack them all into this little tiny thing called a lightsaber and, kind of do what I want with it and turn it into a playground. I love that.
It's funny, Dave, that you mentioned that because my first car was a 1978 Pontiac Sunbird. It was a hand-me-down from my sister, actually, and it had a stock stereo in it. And I, of course, I had a lot of 8-tracks. If you guys know what 8-tracks are, I'm sure. But I wanted.
Yeah, this old man sure know what they are.
Yeah, I wanted a cassette.
I still have a few.
So I ripped the stereo out of that Pontiac Sunbird when I got it at 16. And man, the hottest thing then was Jensen speakers. I don't know if you guys know that name, but I ripped the stereo out. I put a new stereo in with a cassette player, with an equalizer, and it had the pretty lights in it and all new speakers. So that is another skill set that comes to the table of building a lightsaber, Mad Cow's videos are like the Bible for this hobby.
Invaluable resource.
Yeah, Rob Pacal and his hookup and union with TCSS and 10 years ago, 12 years ago, And when I built my first saber, I'll tell you how I did it. I built the parts I bought the parts from TCSS, and at the time they had boards that came pre-wired with little jumper splicer wire things that go together. And you brought the wire down from the emitter, and you brought the speaker down from the bottom, and you brought the switches in, and that was great. And then I realized I wanted more, so then I took that board out of that lightsaber, and I desoldered all of those wires that were pre-built on that little board that I bought that was pre-built, and I installed that into another lightsaber like a year after I had built that first one. So the thing is, never stop wanting more. I mean, look at the wall behind Dave. Look at the scene behind Rob, and I mean, it's mind blowing. I mean, I don't have half of what you guys have. I sell a lot. I buy, I build. Mostly, I build for myself. And if somebody sees a piece that I have and they're like, "Wow, that's really great," I'm like, "Okay, yeah. I mean, I'll sell it to you. Here's what I'd like to get for it." So it's a learning process, like Mundo's saying, and reach out to people. Like Dave was saying earlier, the forums pages, the Facebook pages, the Instagram pages, they're huge resource, and watch those videos, man. Watch those videos, I think we all kind of, how we all kind of came into this is very similar. Maybe one went one way and one went the other way, but we all kind of have a very similar background, I would say,
Right. And there's all, and there's a multitude of levels of skill in this hobby. And like I said, I'm more or less portraying the beginners like myself. Of course, like I've said, it's been 3 years and I'm getting close to my first NeoPixel. But at the same time, you have to understand that you want to do things the right way. You don't want to half-ass them. You want to learn as you go. And these guys are here to help. They're more than willing to help. But when they understand,
Mundo, let me say one thing. I half-assed plenty, and I broke plenty. But by breaking it, I figured out how to fix it.
Yes, see, my point exactly. But you learn how to fix it by going back and looking at content, and you also went and saw maybe videos, whatever else, but you asked questions as well. I mean, you didn't use just one avenue of resource. Am I correct?
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay, yeah. So that's my whole point to the.
I used everything I could possibly find out there.
Yeah.
And I'm still doing it. I'm still doing it, Right.
See, and no matter your skill level, people, that's one thing that you have to understand. No matter what your skill level, you're still going to learn things down the road of how to do something a little bit better, a little bit easier. Maybe it's a little bit harder at one point in time, or you want, like Dave has done. I mean, phenomenal work on certain builds that he's done on the years that he's shown through his videos, different things. When he first started his chassis, his crystal chambers, I still to this day, I probably watched that video probably 1,000 times, Dave. And I still enjoy watching it because, the evolution of each chassis, the crystal chamber that you've gone through, from what it went to what it is now to what you're doing presently, is nothing short of amazing.
It's not just sabers, because last week I was watching Obi-Wan, and when the girl held up the thermal detonator, I paused it and I looked and I'm like, I swear to God, that's one of Dave's.
Right? I was thinking the same thing.
Lent it to Disney. That'd be awesome.
They call Dave, man.
I would have bet money on it, Dave, that it was one of yours. She was holding on the screen like that.
That's funny. So Rob, I got to ask you what, like, I know you have like the big lathe now and a mill, and like what inspired you to sort of dive into this? I mean, look at the kingdom you got going on behind you. There has to be something that tickled that far back in your past.
Oh, really?
So the story goes, ever since Star Wars came out when I was a kid, and I watched it with my dad and whatnot, and we watched New Hope, Empire, and Return of the Jedi. I've always been fascinated by the lightsaber, always. And when I would ask my parents for a lightsaber, like, they were expensive and it just wasn't in the budget. We couldn't afford it, whatever. So I actually never got a lightsaber. So, this was when I was a kid. I was maybe like 5, 6, 7 and on, right? Always asking for a lightsaber, never getting it. So when I became an adult, but like back now as an adult, back in like 2014, 2015, the lightsaber bug hit me, because obviously that's when The Force Awakens came out, and it kind of piqued my interest again into Star Wars. After watching the prequels, when I watched the prequels back in 2000, 99, whatever, I was just like, whatever. I wasn't that impressed, but I still watched them, and that was it. I never thought about it again. And then when TFA came out, I was like, okay, fuck that. I'm going to get a lightsaber. I'm a grown-ass man. I can afford my own shit. I'm going to go get one. So I started doing my research. I started looking, and that's when I found Saber Forge and Ultra Sabers. And the first, after doing months of research, I decided to go with the Saber Forge Sorcerer Hilt. I wanted the staff, so I got the staff. And then I had already joined the community, and I remember, what's his name? The Jewish guy, Morgan. He's a crazy knife guy, dude. Like, he used to be popular, but then he went a little cuckoo and disappeared. He sold me one of a Bane hilt. So that was like the first one I received. Not the first one I bought, but the first one I actually received and had in my hand.
Nice.
And it had the crimson soundboard on it, and I was watching videos of Shamim, and Shamim had an install video on Nano Biscottis, and I was like, oh, fuck yeah, I'm gonna do this myself. So I started watching his videos, started doing my research, and that was my first install, Saber Forge Bane V1 with Nano Biscotti. That was my very first install that I did myself. And
Rob, do you still have that?
Nice saber.
no, I do not have that. I sold that hilt. I totally customized that hilt. If I can show you guys a picture of it, I would, but I don't have it anymore.
Bigger and better.
I
bro.
I did all
Felicia.
kinds of like battle damage, and it was just I weathered it, I polished it. Like, I couldn't make up my mind what I wanted to do with it, but it went through several stages, and finally, one of my first customers was hounding me about the hilt and asked me to sell it to them, and I was kind of I was like, I don't know if I want to let it go. It's my first saber. And then either way, I ended up selling it to him, right? But I was like, I'll just get another one. And I did. Now I have like 1, 2, 3. I got like,
You're my hero, Rob. You're my hero.
I got like
man.
16 hilts. So
I went,
big deal, right?
I personally want a room full of sabers, man. That's my goal. That's my goal.
So it started out with me just wanting one hilt, and somehow it turned into this. How? I don't fucking know, but I'm here and I'm loving it. That's all I know.
Addiction.
So going back to your question there, Dave, it started with doing installs, and then I was like, nope, I want to learn to do more, because not that I'm a cheap ass, but if I can learn to do it myself, I'm going to do it myself.
Yep.
And so I was like, okay, I'm going to learn how to do chassis. And at the time, I was only doing installs and custom weather work, custom like battle damage stuff. I really wasn't doing much. I was just doing that. And then my buddy JR Tyler, who runs Acolyte Armory, who does armor and helmets, he actually showed me the basics on how to do chassis. And then I just ran with it, and boom, I blew up with it. Like, I figured out how to do like all kinds of stuff with doing chassis. And I was like, okay, so now I'm going to stick to doing chassis. So I did installs for a couple of years, And then I was only doing chassis for like a couple years. And then after that, I was like, okay, what's the next evolution? Is machining. The next evolution is learning how to machine stuff. And I've had little experience with lathes, and I haven't had any experience with mills, but I figured it'd be the same. So, the good old school of YouTube teaches you everything. I jumped on YouTube. I started doing my research, started watching videos of machining. The same thing with the mill. And then I was like, okay, what's within my budget? How much do I want to spend? Where is it going to benefit me if I don't cheap and get the good stuff to begin with? Because that's one thing I personally, I don't like buying things twice. You buy cheap, you buy twice. I've always been a strong believer of that. So I'm like, I'm gonna get a good big lathe that's gonna last me, and it's gonna be able to do the work I want it to do. And I don't want to have any regrets when I get something and then be like, oh, I wish I would have got that. So I did my research. I found what fit me best and what was within my budget as well. And I bought it. I bought the big 14 by 40 lathe, and I bought the mill. I wish I would have gotten a little bit bigger on the mill, but the mill I have now works fine. It does its job. Eventually, I will upgrade and get another mill, a larger one, so I'll have two. And one will be for small parts, and one will be just for machining hilts and doing stuff like these like those gears that you see right there and here on the pommel. There we go.
Amazing. Amazing.
God. That's patience doing that kind of work. Oh my God.
And it's a hassle because you have to take stuff apart and you have to put it back together, because you have your mill and then you have your rotary table and you have all other stuff on there to be able to do this. And because my mill isn't large enough to accommodate a hilt and the other parts that I make, that's why I want to get the other one. But anyway, so yeah, that's what motivated me. That's what kind of pushed me to, like, I want to be able to come full circle and do it all myself, and just go do your research, go do your homework. Safety first, because these machines will kill you like that. I've seen videos of people like literally getting spaghettified on the lathe, and it's not nice. It's pretty disgusting. Just if that pops in my mind, like, I'm always like, safety first, because I do not want to end up like that individual. So yeah, and anything you do, it's safety first. Doing chassis. See, there you go. Harris got a missing finger. There it is. And anything you do, you always want to exercise safety and caution, and don't take anything for granted, because if you get complacency is your number one enemy, and it'll fuck you up real quick. It'll bring you back down to earth real fast. So even if you're printing chassis, you think printing a chassis is harmless, but shit can catch fire, and then your house is burned down.
I got a nice, about a half-inch scar on my belly, because I don't know, when I first started using a Dremel with a cutoff wheel, I would lean into my belly and cut into it that way. Went right through the metal, right into my belly, through my shirt, and I had, to this day, I still got about a half-inch scar on my belly, Dremel scar.
Yep. Yeah. So always wear your safety gear. Make sure that you're operating whatever it is you're operating, how it's meant to be operated in the safest possible manner, so you don't end up missing fingers, missing limbs, or missing your life. So that's right. That's definitely like my biggest recommendation is safety first. Yeah, absolutely.
You hear that, people? Safety first. I mean, it doesn't get any simpler than that. And if you want to take shortcuts, you're hearing what these guys are going through, what they've done.
So you hold the solder iron here. Don't hold it here. That's going to burn you, okay? Just letting you know right now.
I love that.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Go aheher, Mundo.
No, that's funny. Go ahead, Mundo.
No. You are not interrupting. We are teaching people. We are giving them a resource of learning right now. And, and again, this is one of the things that I wanted to talk about, is because, for those that are starting out, those who do not know where to get started, how to get started, and so forth. This is just another resource for them to get started. And again, going back to the video that I saw, with Lando Sabers, and he produced videos that gave a lot of information on what people to go through, which resources to go through. And and he was talking about how he gave all that information, and people asked him, and he gave him that information, and they still did the opposite of what he told them to do. And I'm sorry, people, like, we can't help you on that aspect, but that's on you. But it is per person how you perceive things, how you want to do things. And in the end, and fellas, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm right, I'm right. In the end, we are all responsible for ourselves on what we do, what we choose, how to do it, how we use it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm right, I'm right.
Yeah, Rich brings a good point up in the comments. He said proper tools are important. Yeah, it is very important. You don't want to be, trying to mill something on a regular drill press, because it's not what it's meant for.
Oh no, I
want
learned
to
that
have
lesson the
proper
hard way.
tools to do the job. Yeah, you can get away with stuff. You can get away with the hand drill, making a retention screw hole and then tapping it. You can do that. You can absolutely do that, but you got to be careful that drill doesn't walk on you, because now it's going to be off centered and it's not going to look good. And I'll admit I'm guilty of that. That's happened to me, and I'm like, fuck, no, I got to fix this.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
And if you don't have the resources to do those kind of things, yes, by all means, have somebody do it for you. There is no shame in that. Don't do something that you think you can do when you don't have the proper resources to do it. That is one of the biggest mistakes in this, in this community, in this hobby, is that people say, oh, well, I've got a Dremel. I know I can do this. But
you can do a lot with the Dremel, but how you use that Dremel, because I'll be the first to admit it. Before I got my machining tools, my lathe, my mill, if I had a pommel that the threads were too long and the chassis wasn't quite fitting, and if I could just shave off a little bit, I would use the Dremel. It wasn't pretty, it wasn't straight, but it worked. But it worked. So you could do a lot with the Dremel, even if you have a Dremel press. That thing works pretty good too. But Dremel, it's how you use it. It's how you use it.
Yeah. Agreed. So I'm gonna switch gears here for a second, so we get over onto some Obi-Wan, and I gotta give Harris 2 sets of props. First set is, dude, I'm addicted to wine racks. This is my 3rd one. These have enabled me to fit more sabers inside my cubicle displays horizontally. Well done, dude.
Same one,
well done.
Yeah.
And then let's all take this moment to hail Harris. Dude, you called it.
You did, man.
You called it, bro.
You did.
Reva. You're right about Reva.
Damn.
I knew there was more to her than met the eye. Everybody was dragging on her, hammering on her. I knew. I just knew. And I wasn't 100% right, because she's still dark, But I knew she had ulterior motives,
Yeah.
I feel sad for her though, because she took on Vader like that, man. Knowing she knew she couldn't beat him, but she knew that she could slow him down.
Vader kicked her ass without even igniting a lightsaber, and she had a lightsaber on. He was like,
yeah, that was unreal.
But her whole intention was to slow him down, not anything else. She knew she couldn't beat him. She knew, but man, Harris, amazing for calling it, dude.
I just knew it. I knew it. I'm a fan. I watch. I read into it, and I mean, you guys for the past couple weeks have been kind of hard on it, and that's okay. That's what you're getting from it. as long as you're getting something from it, you're watching it, you know. For me, I kind of try to read between the lines. I kind of try and watch where each character's going. And I just had a feeling. And now I feel like what's going to happen, I feel like her and Obi-Wan are going to team up to go after Vader. But, I mean, again, you know, look at the big picture, okay? The big picture is we know that in episode or movie 4 that Vader and Obi-Wan fight, and he's still Darth Vader, and he's still alive. And, you know, scare me by making Obi-Wan be kidnapped all you want and held captive, but he lives. We know he's going to live. He's got to live for episode 4. He's got to live for that final battle with Vader, you know? So
I don't know if you guys can see this, but God dang, I don't know if you can see it or not. You see what the book
Anakin
is?
Kenobi?
Yep. Brotherhood, the book.
What year did that come out?
I don't know. I just got it not too long ago for Father's Day. My
Oh, nice.
wife
What is
Kelly
it?
got it for me.
I'm not understanding what that is.
It's a book with Obi and Anakin. It's called Brotherhood.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah,
So-
by
so-
Mike Chen. I have
wonder if
not.
it'll-
I just took a picture of it, guys. I have not even opened the book yet. Just letting you know that the wife picked it up for me for Father's Day,
that's-
man.
That's
Awesome.
a very nice Father's Day gift.
I
Yeah.
wonder if they'll cover that scene where they're kind of like, you know, training together in the dojo type of. I loved that. What did you guys think about how it's almost like they didn't de-age their faces as much as they could have? I thought that I kind of like that because
I
don't know,
did.
they're
I liked
keeping
it.
it real. It lets you know that it was fresh footage. Like I thought that was cool.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was really well done at that point. That they were training, and he shows. You kind of get the sense when Anakin is so impetuous of trying to learn, but then he tries to overpower Obi-Wan, and Obi's like, "Hey, you're trying to win the fight when you're not even close."
Obi outsmarts
goes-
him. That's what he does. Obi totally
Yeah.
outsmarts him. Completely makes him look foolish.
Yeah, exactly. I was loving it. I love the teaching that Obi-Wan just. I mean, he put it Anakin straight forward, man. And you could tell how pissed Anakin was. Like, shit.
Right.
It was just that shit moment.
But remember, when that scene was taking place, Anakin, you know, forego the whole aging thing and the movie and the TV show, and you know, that scene was taking place when Anakin was younger.
Yes.
He was younger. He was eager, almost too eager at times. But at the same token, you know, he wanted more. Even then, he wanted more. You know?
Yeah,
any of you
hence
guys
the
ever-
impetuousness.
Have you guys noticed that? So once Anakin turned to the dark side, his training stopped. I don't think I've seen or read or anything where Palpatine or Sidious takes him under his wing and actually shows him something that of value.
True.
It's like, no, just go fucking do it. And then Anakin's like, okay, I'm gonna go do it. Kind
Wow,
of, you know.
You got a big point there, Rob.
So
Yeah,
No,
does
seriously,
Vader?
no way, I don't see Anakin growing from his lessons with Obi aside from what he has already learned, and because he has that anger, that hate, that drive, that blindness, it's tunnel vision. When you're in a situation, when you're in a fight, you get that tunnel vision, and that hate, that anger is what keeps Anakin in that tunnel vision, not allowing him to learn and grow, and which allows Obi-Wan to keep one-upping him.
Yeah, Jim Smith, he says, yes, Obi and Annie scene was before meeting Padme again in episode 2. I agree. And yeah, that's that scene there covered a lot, really. And you can see, you can really see Anakin's the building of his himself. He's building up to that anger. You can tell that even though he was bested by Obi-Wan, he's like, I could have beaten him still.
Well, he had him in episode 3. Tell me he could have just snapped his neck in episode 3. He had him hanging from the neck. He was choking him.
I know.
And he dragged him through the fire. He could have easily ended him, but he didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obvious reasons.
He can stop a ship midair, but he can't like reach across the fire and grab Obi-Wan again. I was a little confused by that, but
yeah.
They would ruin episode 4 if he did that, though.
Right. No more.
Gotta think outside the box,
Well, he did say he wanted him to suffer, so.
Yeah.
Well,
something I mean, I don't know if you guys picked up on this also, but Obi-Wan got that message on his little communicator disc from what's his name, Bail
Organa.
And then he lost it. I mean, that thing was laying in the sand, and Reva found it. She looked over at it. So, I mean, that's telling me what's going to happen next. She's going to Tatooine, and she's remember in the first episode, she knows who Owen is. She knows who Owen Lars is. With his family. So she's starting to put it together now. So she's going to go to Tatooine. We're going to wind up back on Tatooine, and she's going to be, digging in Owen's ass again, so to speak.
Yeah.
Wanting to put it all together.
Something that Rob said, and correct. I was just going to say something that Rob said a while back, and then correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Is Vader ever used lightning? So like he was never trained.
He has never used lightning.
I've heard he can't do it because of his robotic hands.
That's what I've heard. His hands.
Only one hand.
You need flesh.
But he would still be able to do it with one hand technically. But
no, didn't he lose both hands though?
No, he lost one.
No,
yeah, because he was pulling himself. He lost himself through the gravel. It's Mustafar.
He lost one to Count Dooku, and then he lost the second one to Obi-Wan. He has 2 robotic limbs. His whole body is, both hands and both legs are gone.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay.
I thought it was just one hand because I remember the scene where he's pulling himself through the gravel when he tells Obi-Wan, "I hate
That's
you."
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Hand. That's the robotic hand.
Oh crap!
That was the first robotic hand.
That's the glove.
That's the one that Dooku took off.
The glove turned off, and it's just his robotic hand that he's using to pull himself up.
True. I needed to zoom in on that scene. I forgot that.
And then he lost one arm to Dooku and one arm to Obi-Wan, and both legs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dang. So he's basically Bob.
Yeah.
You guys know that joke?
Yeah. What do you call
Space Ghost gravel pulls robotic.
Bob Vader.
Bob Vader. That's funny as hell.
The one thing that kind of made me shake my head was where he was hiding Leia in his coat and they're trying to get away. They're walking away.
Oh yeah, really?
Like, how is it not nobody gonna notice that shit?
And
yeah, really. I agree with you.
Hundreds of people around them,
At least put her in a droid mech or something and have him like force push her along.
Yeah, that would have worked. Put her in an astromech droid. Totally.
Yep. Jim Smith says Anakin is quad amputation.
Something I didn't like. Something that I didn't like. I didn't like that, you got all these people, going through this, they call it the path, right? And they need 10-year-old Leia to go up and figure out how to open up the doors up top. That rubbed me a little little wrong, you know.
Weren't there
That
other
to me
children
is-
there anyways? I would have sent another kid. Here, you're not that important. You go up there.
Yeah. Do all the
But,
IT
you know-
people have to be tiny? Like, what's the deal with that?
Sometimes we just got to suspend belief in this kind of stuff, you know.
It's hilarious.
But overall, that episode was pretty good. I did enjoy it a lot, despite its little inconsistencies. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
You know, one of the
that.
things that I find, okay, and I have to hand it to Harris, but one of the things that I've been kind of, you know, checking out with Star Wars, if you look at it from two perspectives, okay, not an adult perspective, so to speak, but if you look at it through child's eyes, and if you look at it through a teenager, or even a third perspective of somebody who's never seen it before, then you do get a sense of different awe in the show itself. Let's just say you don't know anything about the whole series, right? But you come into it. And I'm kind of looking into these different perspectives from one of a child's mind, and then one of a teenager's mind, and then a perspective of somebody who's never seen Star Wars before. And it's kind of hard to kind of throw that out, knowing that, you know, I've seen Star Wars all my life and everything like that, but to throw all of that away and to come from a different perspective, it does put a little something different into your mind if you look at it in that respect, you know.
I'm glad you brought that up. Let me interrupt you. My son, who is 20 years old now, has never liked Star Wars, has never really watched any of them. He started watching Obi-Wan with me and he enjoyed it. And I was like, oh, great. He's actually liking something Star Wars.
Yes. That is cool.
So you said, oh, okay, Rob, you said he's what, 20 years old, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, 20. So again,
Interesting.
you know, so my you know, my hypothesis is that if you look at it from different perspectives, you see it in a whole different light. You know, it's kind of weird because one part of your brain is telling you, dude, this sucks. It ain't right. This and that and yada yada yada. And then, you know, you're looking at it from this other perspective, and your brain is going, dude, that is badass. I'm loving this. And then you got that other part of your brain that kicks in and says, I know Star Wars. It's all right. It's gonna be okay. It's not bad. It's not bad. I can live with it. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. so my brain is going like 100 miles an hour with these different scenarios in terms of you know, and looking at it in different ways. Try it, and let's talk about it, you know, next Mundo Monday. Try that and see what you think. And you know, and it may not be possible. It may not be possible for some people, you know, and I do realize that, but if you look at it from those different perspectives, and if you throw everything out that you do know from Star Wars and look at it from a fresh, just getting into it, it's kind of weird. It is really weird. So there is our talk, and there is our next, you know, hurrah for next Mundo Monday. You know, you guys got some homework there.
I think what made it easy.
If possible.
I think what made it easy for people that don't, like my son who never watched Star Wars, who doesn't know anything about Star Wars, to get into it is that the fact that the first episode gives you a breakdown of everything that's happened up to that point. It kind of just gives you, and then obviously, you know, my kid looked at me like, okay, what is that about? And then I explained to him, then he understood it. And then now he can appreciate it more, as opposed to just jumping into a series that's midway through its story that we currently have, and then trying to put all the pieces together. So I think that's what kind of helped make it a little more, you know, enjoyable, that at least you have something to go off of, and then the story continues.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Rob. I
Has
agree.
he seen the OT, Rob?
I'm sorry.
Has
No,
your
he
son
hasn't.
seen the
He hasn't
OT?
seen anything.
Okay.
He hasn't seen
Yeah.
anything. This is the first anything Star Wars he's watched.
Yeah, a good friend of mine, him and his family have not seen any of the Star Wars movies until it's like, all right, quarterly we're gonna watch a movie. So like we have Star Wars movie night. That's just wild to me that there's some people that still haven't absorbed it. It's just the way it is. It's wild.
Yeah, today I had put on the making of Star Wars while I was at work with my guys. I had just put it on for the audio and visual stimulation for the individuals, but at the same time, I'm doing my paperwork. I can hear what they were saying, and amazing stuff that you have all these different people bringing in different things from their own imagination. You've got hundreds of people with different imaginations coming and talking about what is going on here, what is going on there. One of the things that I absolutely loved was the flight scene of the Falcon, where Han Solo and everybody are headed to the Death Star, right? So, that's up against a blue screen, and then you have all these different layers of things that are going on to make that one little scene of the Falcon going to the Death Star. That you have the stars, then you have the Death Star, then you have, the fighters, you have this, and all the hundreds of hours that it took, and all the still pictures it took, and then to bring everything together just for that one scene is amazing. How they came up with all of this, and you learn to appreciate what the film is about after seeing stuff like that. What it took to make it,
Yeah.
and how really special it really is for those people that made the movie to bring it to us, and then for us to appreciate what has been done to it. So if you look at the making of Star Wars, the 1977 making, absolutely mind-blowing of all the things that they've done and had to do just to get the movie out, and the locations. Man, oh my God.
Yeah, it's almost like that's part of the magic, is just thinking about the years and years of preparation and creativity that went into those movies. But a good friend of mine showed it to his wife many years ago, and afterwards she turns to him and she's like, I don't get it. What do people see in this? It's so outdated and old looking, and I whatever. So it's just interesting, all the different reactions.
It's
It's wild.
And that's why they make different flavors of ice cream. This comes into life with me constantly. I mean, I like vanilla, you like chocolate. Everybody's different, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to like a different flavor.
Yeah.
But,
see, like Felicia says, well, as a 39-year-old kid, I enjoy most of the stuff coming out because I'm seeing or learning about it for the first time. That is really cool to hear, because people who are learning about it and understanding it, it's pretty awesome. It really is.
Something that I like Rob, I envy what you said. Your son is 20, you said?
Yeah.
And he's just experiencing it for the first time.
Yeah.
But that
awesome.
makes it that much better for you, because you're experiencing it through him again. I mean, how great is that? You're passing your love on to your child. Your love, what you like, what makes you tick, you're showing your child. And I do the same thing, And I mean, my son is a sports kid. I'm not a sports guy. My son loves basketball, And if my son were to sit down with me and say, Dad, I'm going to explain basketball to you, well, damn straight, I'm going to sit there and listen to what he has to say.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So,
but that's different for us as parents. We do it to spend time with our kids. We want to hear them out. It's the opposite with our kids. Our kids at least at my kids' age, they don't give a fuck what we like. They want to go do their own thing.
Yeah, exactly. My girls are like that.
But at least the experience is there, and it's special. It's nice. I enjoyed it.
I totally agree. I thought
Yeah,
this
and
was a lot
Titan
of
says
fun.
it. Oh, I'm sorry, Dave. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, not at all. I just said I thought it was a lot of fun. That was it. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, and Titan says it right. He says having fans prove Star Wars is timeless. I couldn't agree more.
That's why Uncle George is a bazillionaire. You know,
Yeah.
I wonder what he thinks of all this now. Like he's surely, of course he's got to be watching everything that's coming out. I'd
Oh,
be so
yeah.
great to just like have him do an interview and talk about each new movie that's come out since Disney or episode. That would be incredible to just get his opinion on each thing.
yeah.
Like, does he like Mando?
Imagine what it's like to be a, what's the word I'm thinking of? A cultural icon.
I know.
I mean,
That's what I feel like.
he is Star Wars. He is a cultural icon.
Totally.
You
Right
know,
out of his brain stem.
Absolutely.
His brain. Forget what his hands created, and forget his brain. I mean, what did he sell? What did he sell Star Wars to Disney for? I don't know, some X amount of billion.
4.1 billion, I thought it was.
I mean, that's
Something like that.
and he's still making money off of it. I mean, he just doesn't own it all himself. I mean, everything that he gets a part of Obi-Wan, he gets a
Yeah.
part of it,
Well, yeah. I mean, he still gets the residuals. Yeah.
And it's just
But there was people at Celebration dressed as George. People were looking twice, like, is that George?
I
Yeah.
remember I saw a guy. I was like, he looks like that dude totally pulled off the George look.
Super fan.
Right?
It's
keep
freaky.
in mind, I mean, that's a lot of the old timers are knocking Obi-Wan. They don't like Reva, they don't like this, they don't like that. But if it wasn't for Obi-Wan, think about how many new people are watching Obi-Wan and getting interested in Obi-Wan and going to say, wow, there may be something to this. Maybe I should go back and watch the old movies,
Great point, Harris.
And I
Great
also
point.
feel, I mean, listen, I don't know. I wasn't there with George Lucas at the table when he was creating Star Wars in 1976 or 75, and he shot it and released it in 77. But, I mean, I kind of think, he had an idea and he created a movie. And then he built on that movie. And by building on that movie, that's what gave us episode 5. And that's what gave us episode 6. And there were little quips, I mean, none of us ever knew what a Jedi Knight was before we heard Obi-Wan tell Luke, that I was once a Jedi Knight along with your father, And then, I mean, I was a kid sitting at the theater in 1980, 81 or something like that. And he's like, I am your father. I mean, like mine was blown. My mind was blown. I mean, this guy's mortal enemy is his father. I mean, where does that come from? Just, and that's why George Lucas is a genius. And that's why George Lucas is worth billions. And what I'm trying to get out is what we have today wasn't created 40 years ago. This is being created now. They're taking one little piece of a story, that happened 40 years ago, 50 years ago, and they're elaborating on it.
Yeah.
Some we like, some we don't like. I mean, listen, I'm loving Obi-Wan. I'm loving Mandalorian. I'm loving Boba Fett. I love it. It's giving me Star Wars that I never thought I'd ever get again.
Yeah, I agree.
But
True.
let me say this to you. That doesn't mean I like everything. I absolutely thought the last 3 movies with Rey were horrendous. I thought they were horrible writing. I thought they were a horrible story. And it's the same thing. And I know you guys know how I feel. I rant on this from time to time. But the movies I thought were an atrocity to the first 6 movies. We had 4, 5, and 6. Then we got 1, 2, and 3. And 1, 2, and 3 were a direct resemblance of what we got in 4, 5, and 6. Then some schmuck says, you know what? I'm going to change everything. We're going to throw all that out. Oh, and by the way, we're going to kill off all your heroes too. So fuck you. Well, you know what? Fuck you too, because you're out of there. You're never, ever going to make another fucking Star Wars movie. You're never, ever going to touch Star. Who was it? Well, I forget the name of the directors. I can't.
Ryan John.
Horrible.
Yeah, Ryan Johnson.
Yeah.
Horrible.
He wanted to do his own version of shit, and exactly that's what I said. His own version of shit. I mean, it wasn't really Star Wars. I mean, he himself even said he didn't care about fans.
Yeah,
he wanted to make his own version of Star Wars.
Yeah, he in my opinion, what they should have done. Now, I'm not a book reader. Everybody's different. Like, now, I mean, like, I watched Rebels extensively. I've seen it 4 times, all 4 seasons, 4 times. You know, I love the Clone Wars. I get my information from that. I'm not a book reader. I don't have the attention span. I don't either. I'm a little dyslexic, and for me to hold the book in my hand and read the words without any moving pictures behind it just doesn't do it for me. But I mean, I think they had a story with the books, and people knew that story of the twins. You know, the twins, Han and Leia's twins, and they should have built on that. How the twins grew up, one went light, one went dark, and that, in my opinion, would have made it great. And I mean, listen, who am I? I'm nobody. Nobody gives a fuck about me. We're doing this show because we love it. We're talking about it. We're a couple of friends that sit down on Monday nights and hash this stuff out because we like it. And because we like it so much, we build lightsabers too, you know? So,
well, go ahead. I was just going to say, on a positive note, I love the lightsabers. I got to jump in real quick, but go ahead, Harris. Finish out.
I agree with that, Dave. I mean, listen, before, I mean, I saw samurai movies. I was a Bruce Lee fan when I was 10 years old, you know? And Bruce Lee fought with nunchucks, and I wanted a pair of nunchucks. My parents wouldn't let me buy them, so I stole my mother's broom and cut it in half and used some old bootlaces to make the string in between the 2 pair of nunchucks, you know?
Hey, I still have mine, man. Ain't nothing wrong with that, bro.
You know, the same way that when I got old enough and there was nobody making lightsabers, I went to the Home Depot and I bought a piece of plumbing pipe and cut it up, and I gutted a toy and put the soundboard inside the toy. And then I discovered a guy by the name of Irv Plechter made these amazing soundboards to put inside of it, you know? So,
I got to meet him at Celebration. Great guy.
That's so cool.
Really? Oh, wow.
I'd love to shake his hand.
So I am so crushed that I have not yet to meet Irv Plechter face to face. I want to meet him. I want to feel him.
Me too.
I want to put my arms around him, hug him, and bow to him because he's God to me.
Me too, man.
He's
seriously.
He's God to me.
He kicked all this off for sure.
You know?
With legit soundboards for sure. Yeah.
You guys know I'm a musician, right? So
absolutely. We got the Jedi drummer right here.
Many, many years ago, I was a huge fan. Look at that. Look at
that.
Oh, dude, look.
Beauty. Dang.
Yeah, beauty.
Rob, if I went to Celebration, I wouldn't buy one autograph of all those famous people were there. That would be the first picture and handshake and autograph. I wouldn't ask for his autograph because I don't know. I think that's kind of weird. But that would be the first picture with a famous person that I would want. Kudos to you, bro. That's awesome.
Sign my CFX.
That's awesome. Irv, and let me tell you something. I've had the pleasure of talking to him. He's friendly. He's nice. He's kind. He's courteous. And anytime I've ever reached out to him, he has gotten back to me within a very fast, timely manner. And I mean, I consider him a friend, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, he's gotten back to me. You know, I had one question for him, and my question was answered within days. I mean, you know, I thought it would take a little bit longer because of how busy he was. No, I mean, actually, not days. Let me reiterate. I am wrong, within hours. Because as you know, with the Prism 5.1 that I burnt up, and I got a second one, from Albert Flores of Smugglers. And I asked him, I asked Irv, it's, hey, this diode, where can I find another diode for this board here? And he says, it'll work without it. I'm all like, what? It's going to work without it? Oh, hell yeah. So, I had burned the diode out because I used a, and I'm so ashamed to say this because I used a plug and to charge my battery that was an appropriate plug. So see, there again, people, learn, listen, get it right. I burnt out that diode, and when I asked him, where can I find another diode? He says, it'll work without it. And I'm like, oh, dude, I wouldn't want it without it, but if it's going to work without it, hey, all right, it's back on. The build's back on,
I wonder if a lot of that stuff is reverse polarity protection, like a diode. So, as long as you're not going to flip plus and minus, you may not ever need that diode. I don't know. It is interesting to me that you can lose a component and it'll still work. It's like, okay, interesting.
Yeah, and I didn't know that. See, and when I asked Irv, and he said it'll work without it, I'm all like, shit, I can get this build done. All right, it's back on.
Let me.
But just
let me ask,
go ahead.
No, I was gonna change back to another topic, but go ahead and finish out, Muda.
No, what I was just gonna say is just that, just in case I screw it up again, I got CFX for it, and Albert Flores from Smugglers is going to be kind enough to provide me with a piece that he printed out for me for the Prism. He's going to put that in a CFX one so that I have a backup in case that I decide to not go with the Prism and use the Prism, just turn the Prism into a just a practice one. Then I can go ahead and use the CFX and get that build like that with the CFX. So, Albert Flores, thank you again.
Let me jump in here real quick. So, Mundo, you mentioned that you have not done a NeoPixel install. Is that correct?
Correct.
Let me tell you, a NeoPixel board install, if you do a CFX, and I've done Profi too, they're easy because you don't have to mess with having to wire the individual LEDs from like a tri-cree. Yeah. So a NeoPixel is like way faster to do and easier to do than trying to wire up a tri-cree. I'm telling you that right now. You're gonna find out that it's a lot easier.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I build my very first in my own blade, and it does work. So NeoPixel? I am very proud of myself to have made my own NeoPixel blade.
Nice.
Awesome.
So at the moment, I don't know if it's the EvoFlex that's, I don't know if it's the EvoFlex that's messing up the blade or the blade's messing up itself, because there's some of the LEDs that are not lighting up. But once I finish my other NeoPixel install, my friend's memory saber, and test the blade into it, I'll find out for sure whether it's the EvoFlex that's the problem or it's the blade that's the problem. When I've got a full charge on the Evo, it lights up fully, and then after about 3 or 4 times of turning it off and on, the lights kind of go wonky. So I'm not sure, but this again, people, is where you learn of how to do certain things. And believe me, and believe you me, if I can make my own, there is no reason why you can't make your own. You can't. I mean, it is pretty decently easy to do it. Rob has a wonderful video on how to do it. KR Sabers has a wonderful video on how to do it. You make your own way on how do you want to do it, how you choose to do it. And, you know, if I can build one, so can you.
Yep.
I mean, it's like Rob
Take
says.
your time. Take your time. Don't rush it.
Take your time. Take your time. Bad blade resistor, probably Mundo, says Jim. Yeah, I might have to redo the blade PCB thing and try it out and see if that happens. Maybe you're right, Jim. Titan says, does sanded blade look a lot different on camera than non-sanded blades?
Yes.
I mean, what is your thoughts on those guys? Because I have never sanded my blade at all, so I have no way to answer that.
I just got one from. Go ahead, Rob.
No, go ahead, take it.
No, I was just gonna say real quick. I got that blade that Anthony sent me. That's the TriStar, which is freaking epic. He sanded the outside of it, and I do not know how he gets them like that silky, freaking smooth. Like it just looks like a.
I believe he sands everyone he sells.
Yeah, it's cool.
He sands every blade that he puts out. Yes.
It looks like a perfect matte finish, and I've never seen a blade like that until it arrived. So that's all I wanted to say. Go ahead, Rob.
Anthony is the master when it comes to that. He's very meticulous, and he just makes sure that he does it the right way. And he's so meticulous that if he screws it up, he'll take it apart and redo it. And redo the whole blade.
I was going to say the difference between a sanded and non-sanded blade. The light diffuses a lot better, and it actually looks brighter when it's sanded as opposed to not being sanded. So if you get a nice shiny brand new polycarbonate tube blade and you turn it on, you're going to see that it still looks fine, but it kind of looks like it's the lights. You can kind of, I guess, tell that the light's within the tube, as opposed to when you sand it, it looks like the tube is the light. That's the difference.
So my recommendation, from what I've seen, and you know, even this is kind of like Anthony's trade secret a little bit, but don't don't take the blade and rotate the sandpaper around that way. Make it the length, go up and down, top to bottom, you know?
When you sand your blades, don't sand it like this. You sand it like this.
Yeah, correct. Length, up and down.
So are you saying so? Okay, let me reiterate on this and or elaborate a little bit, guys, because I want to make sure that the audience is for those newbies like myself that are paying attention to this. You're saying that when you grab the blade and you're going to sand it, you go from the back to the front and you're sanding it this way.
Yes.
You know, from the back to the front.
So here's the blade, right?
Yeah.
With sabers, we're used to sanding it like this. With blades, you sand like this.
So, okay, and the way you're sanding it, you're not rubbing at all. You're just basically going straight out, right? Am I correct? You're just going straight out.
So look, here you go. So I got some sandpaper, right?
Yeah.
It's my blade. So let me see if I can find some imperfections. So I know it's going to be kind of hard to see. So you see how it's kind of like dirty, and it's like, you can see kind of like some smudges right here. When you do that, when you do this, you see how I'm sanding it? I'm just kind of going up and down.
Yeah. You're not twisting at all. You're just going straight back and forth.
I do twist when I'm coming up. I twist when I go down. I twist, twist. So I'm not twisting as I'm sanding. I'm twisting when I'm turning to get the next spot.
Oh, okay, right.
Okay, see, that's what I'm getting at, right? That's what I'm getting at right there. So that way people are seeing the proper technique on how to sand blades, because again, this is an invaluable resource for me, guys, the audience. If you're watching and you have not done this at all, that this is the proper technique to go through in sanding your blades. You know, I'm learning right now as it is myself.
I mean, I personally recommend going all the way down and then coming all the way up, and then going all the way down and coming all the way up.
Top
Going
to
all the way
bottom,
down,
top
coming
to
all the way
bottom, or
up.
bottom top. Yeah.
But just keep in mind, you don't want to go too low because then you're gonna have fitting issues to where it's not going to be snug. It's going to be a little loose, and you don't want that. So your hand is your stop. Right here, I'm holding it. I stop at my hand, and that keeps this area proper, how it's supposed to be.
Yeah. See, great information, guys.
Anthony made this blade for me, and I'm looking at it up close. You guys can't see it on camera, but there is not one sand grade going like this. Every sand grade is going up and down the length. Nothing, I guess, vertical, you know? Think like, what was Miyagi? Paint on,
wax on, wax off.
Wax on, wax off.
Wax off. You know, not like that, not like that.
Paint the fence
like
on.
that, you know?
So,
there's
and
not
another
one
thing,
grain that rotates around.
Another thing also is if you know your blade is going to get dirty, it's going to get smudges, it's going to have whack marks.
Yeah.
You know, if you're dueling or whatever, if you're just fooling around, the sandpaper cleans it for you.
That's
it'll
see,
clean all those.
And again, my point exactly. And Rob, thank you for this, information because, again, and I know that Felicia, she really appreciates this kind of information with her being a newbie as well. And, it really shows how much resource that everybody can bring to the table. And I myself, guys, I didn't know how to sand blades like this. These guys are teaching me right now, as you see it live, right here, right now. I am learning. I am learning with you guys who are watching this.
Yeah.
And
Rob, what grit sandpaper do you like to use when sanding a blade?
So I usually go with like 260, 250.
Okay.
That works for me. You could use 400, but I find that the 200, 250 works for me.
250. Okay. See, that's good to know.
I'm using 400 and it's beat. I like it beat up. I feel that once the sandpaper is used and beat up, it's better to use that for the blade sanding.
Yeah, that's fine. That's totally
good
fine.
tips. All good tips.
Very, very good tips.
Yeah, man.
Very good tips.
I want to ask you guys. Go ahead. Go ahead, Harris.
One other thing I want to say that so I have the immense pleasure to be at Anthony's house while he's working on his stuff, and I get to see it all done, and I'm very hugely thankful and flattered that happens. But something I do want to tell you, I've seen a lot of people make blades, and Mundo, keep this in mind, where they have like 6 foot of wire down here at the bottom of the blade. The wire that Anthony uses is pretty much, I'm going to say maybe a little less than an inch long, So every wire goes from the NeoPixel strip to that PCB top. There's no folding. Every wire is perfectly straight. They look like this. They don't look like this. They don't look like a bird's nest. So no bird's nest in your blade bottoms.
No, you don't want that.
Really? See, and okay, I have to admit, because when I attempted this blade, I saw how Rob made his blades, how he twisted some of the wires and pushed them down. That was what I did. I followed Rob's advice on how to do that. And then, a couple of years later, I saw other people, holy shit, they got like these small wires right there and they're not twisting them. They're doing it this way. So what you're saying, Harris, is clicking in so that when I make another blade, now I'm going to do it that way.
I'm trying to open the bottom of this so I can show you. I think this is glued. If it's glued, I'm not going to be able to get it open. But
what do you mean?
Yeah, don't open it, Harris, because you can risk tearing the wire.
I could fix it myself. I've fixed blades. I build blades with Anthony.
Oh, okay, then you're good. Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Go ahead. What was your question?
No, I was just gonna say, what do you mean, Mundo, when you say small wires? Because you're not supposed to use small wires in a NeoPixel blade, because you got to use the heavier gauge stuff to
I think
carry
he's
the.
talking about
Well,
length.
I mean that was the thing
Oh,
is
short. I
the
see. Short wires. Yep.
short, yeah, the short wires, because
Gotcha.
the way that Rob did it, in the way he had it, and then the way he twisted it to go, to be pushed down, is how he showed it in the video is the way I kind of did it, right?
Right.
But then I've seen another person where they had the short wires where they just barely stuck out like that, and they went to their perspective areas in on here on the PCB, and I'm like, there's no wires twisted. How can it be that they have that short of wire and still able to have it connected the way it's connected?
That's
And
the
then they
trick.
showed the video on how to do it.
That's where the skill comes in. That's where the practice, the skill, trimming your wire, taking your wire, getting the end of the wire, the sheathing or whatever wire you're using, whether it's enamel or silicone, getting just the right amount of that off, keeping all your wires the same length, keeping your ends where your solder is just right. And I mean, Ant uses the most minimal amount of solder. You'll never see any globs on any of his solder work. Ant likes volcanoes. He likes volcanoes, and then sometimes he cuts them back.
That's how the
See,
machines
and
do 'em.
I'm still.
stalactites that stick up off the board and off the wire.
So I'm sorry to interrupt. So to answer Rich Sanguillo's question, when the switches line up, you can see the switch there, and you can see the switch here, and there's actually LEDs here and here as well that line up pretty good. This is my XRCon build that I have not finished installing, but the chassis is in there and everything's there. I just gotta wire it up.
Yeah, absolutely
Nice.
cool. Absolutely cool, man.
So wait, Rob, I didn't hear all that. Do you using plungers? Like how are?
Yeah,
do
so
that
the
again.
chassis is
Sorry.
actually fully
I
removable.
love this stuff. Okay.
So here, let me take this apart. I think it comes off here. All right.
And you and I have talked about this, but we're still trying to kind of figure out a way to not have to turn the saber upside down so the buttons fall out. That's like, so the buttons don't fall out.
Okay, so here's the chassis. It's dual pixel. I haven't installed it, obviously. I was just test fitting stuff.
Nice.
It's for CFX, removable battery, 24 millimeter speaker, accent LEDs, and then the switches are right here. You can hear them.
Pixel. Beauty.
Very cool.
So it's fully removable chassis, and the board will go there. I just have to wire it up.
So your plungers, do you have to roll the hilt upside down when you take it apart? Will the
Yes.
red buttons fall in? Okay.
Yes. So actually, my plungers are secured. They won't fall out if you remove the chassis. They'll stay because they're secured. But when you go to slide in the chassis, you have to do it upside down. So, like for instance, with this hilt right here. So these are plungers that I have installed, right? So when I go to remove this chassis, I have to obviously remove the pommel, and I have a retention screw to make sure the chassis stays in place. So I loosen up the retention screw. And what I do is I pull it down from the crystal chamber, but I have to do it upside down because these plungers will stop it from coming out. But if I flip it upside down, the chassis completely slides out, and then you can see the tactile switches right here, right at the top, right there.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
then
I'm in awe with these chassis, man. I mean, it's like.
And see, I can turn it upside down, and they won't fall out because they're secured. Let me take the.
So that's the.
Plug
You mind me asking how you're securing them?
Yes, I use C-clips. So
Really?
here they are right here. You can see them moving, but they won't fall through, and they won't fall out. So they're secured.
C-clips.
Yeah. So I machine them. So when I machine so for example, here, let me go grab one. I actually made some for some customers today. Give me 1 second.
because this to me is the holy grail of this subject is the holy grail of removable chassis. That's it's one of the more
Yes.
difficult things to do on any hilt because they're all so different. So it's hard to find a common technique for any hilt. So that's why I like getting everyone's input on this. I do some weird things with an ink pen spring and a bolt, and then I super glue the nut on the other side, and the ink pen springs on the outside of the hilt, and then I use a button head screw, and that's how I make my plungers. So we all have like
I love
weird,
that.
different way to do it. Yeah.
Okay, so
All right.
this is a 12 millimeter plunger that I sell. You can see it right there. So that's the top head. I'm trying to get it to focus, but it's kind of hard.
Dave, can you make his screen bigger, Dave? Or no?
I think so. Let me see if I don't crash the Destiny here. Yeah, here we go. Look at that.
There you go.
And
So you can see the C clip. Let me get my little pointer thing here. Let's use these. Okay, so you can see the C clip right there. That's the C clip. And it's actually, what I do is I machine a slot for it. It's so hard to see and hold on to with my big ass fingers.
Mine slip out quite a bit.
So there, you can
Wow.
kind of see it.
Yep,
Okay, do you
And
see
so-
the plunger?
I do.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I do.
You
So
machine
now-
your own C clips?
no. I buy the C clips.
Okay. Nice.
They're
That's what I
3
want.
millimeter C clips, and what I do is, so I machine, like for instance, so this is a full assembly. So I used to offer the plunger themselves without the
Mhm.
assembly, without the 12 millimeter housing. There you go. You can see it now. Now it looks good.
Yeah, crystal clear.
And people have asked if I could put a spring in it, and so the switch will stay up. But the reason why I don't do that is because not every design is going to be the same as far as distance from the tactile switch to the plunger. So when they stick up too much, they're easily pressed and stuff goes off without you wanting it, as opposed to it sitting flush and still being able to press it without it being a nuisance. See
Yes.
that right there?
That's badass.
So the aesthetics of it, not only does it keep you from turning it on or turning it off when you don't want, but it's also for the aesthetics of the build, for the look as well, right?
Yeah,
It might-
on how it sits. So here, let me put this back in. So I'm going to put this back in.
right.
I got to put it upside down so I know it slides all the way in.
Yeah, it's always tough disassembling and reassembling on camera. I'm like, please work.
Okay, so it's in. So I just got to secure the chassis now. And I'm gonna power it on without sound. So it's on. Put the blade plug in. There's the blade plug. So you know it has power, right? So you can hear it. Maybe you can hear it.
Yep.
Now it's gonna turn on.
Yeah, that's nice. I like that.
Yeah, that's sick.
That is cool.
So it's
Well
it's
done,
simple.
Rob.
It's hard. When I do my chassis designs and my switches, I always try to make them as simple as possible, installer friendly. I don't go too crazy on the chassis designs just because I like the simplicity and I prefer to have the strength over having the designs, because when you start doing a lot of designs on your chassis, it makes them a little bit weaker just because it's missing that material. Not much.
Sure.
Don't get me wrong. Like chassis with designs, they're beautiful and they're fine. There's no big deal. But just the way I do my chassis, I've always done them that way. So I just kind of stick to what I know. We all do things our own way. And it works for me and it's fine. And so yeah, so there it is right there.
Very cool.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah. Now, when you started making chassis, what did you have a 3D printer to start off with, or did you kind of like need somebody with a 3D printer to start your journey on making chassis, or did you just went ahead and like go for the horns and say, I'm gonna buy a 3D printer, I'm gonna learn whatever, you know, whatever you need to learn in order to make chassis, as far as the different programs? Did you have a specific program in mind? How did you go about getting into chassis building, Robbie?
So my buddy JR Tyler, who does Acolyte Armory, he's the one that showed me how to do 3D chassis designs. He kind of pushed me towards Tinkercad and showed me how to use Tinkercad and how to just kind of do the basic chassis designs, you know, the cylinder, the speaker pod, the soundboard slot, and, you know, what else is there? Speaker board.
Speaker
battery,
board,
right?
Battery.
That's pretty
Yeah,
much the
Battery.
basic.
Yeah, speaker board.
BBS.
Battery.
and then the
Board,
pogo
battery,
pin.
speaker. So he showed me how to do that. And then once I kind of got into the rhythm and figured stuff out, started figuring out more stuff and how to do my own like slots and getting more complicated to be able to do a chassis with the crystal chamber in it, with another chassis for the speaker. So that's how I learned. He showed me how to do the basics, and then I just went on and figured out the rest after that.
And what program did you start off with?
So I've been using Tinkercad, and I've stuck to Tinkercad just because I'm familiar and I have all my designs on there.
Mhm.
And so for designing, I use Tinkercad, and it's super simple, user friendly. And for the coding, the coding for the printer to be able to print your chassis, I use Simplified 3D.
Oh, okay. See, I had been hearing a lot about Fusion 360, and that there's been a lot of people talking about Fusion 360. So
Yeah,
that's
that's
why I
cool.
wanted to ask you that. Dave, have you used any of those programs as well, or no?
I use SketchUp, but I also have Barbara to teach me because she goes to school for 3D design. So she's been slowly teaching me SketchUp, and it's kind of an industry standard in interior design, but you can also do anything 3D in it as well.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I do I do editing. Haven't really done anything from scratch yet. I like to go in and like edit things and make hey, I need this here for this purpose in a saber, and then print it type
That's
of thing. I haven't
awesome.
done anything original, like Rob's built from the ground up. That's impressive.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So again, people, you see, a newbie as myself, I'm learning from these guys, and um, again, it comes back to resources. But aside from that, this is the Saber channel. We're talking about sabers, and for those of you who've gotten into the hobby, want to get into the hobby, and are interested in learning stuff on your own, wanting to attempt stuff on your own, there's nothing wrong with having people do it for you. People, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. If you know that your ability, you're not going to be able to do certain things, don't attempt it. Don't attempt it, because you're going to waste your money. You're going to waste things. You're going to get uninterested in it. And that's not what this hobby is about. This hobby is about what we love, what we do, what we like, Star Wars related, lightsaber related, and it to these guys and myself, it comes from a passion of loving it. And if you don't love it, you don't want to deal with it. Get it. If you just want a saber for having the sake of a saber, what can I tell you? To each his own. But when you have the passion for it, when you love it, when you like it, there's no greater feeling than doing something on your own.
Yep.
And with that,
Agreed.
with these guys, It's always a blessing to hear these guys talk about, going through steps, doing this, doing that, and love what they do, as well as provide information for us in terms of what we want to get, what we want to love to do. And again, these guys, invaluable. I mean, I can't say more than that. It's such an honor to know these guys. And Rob,
Thanks,
you
Mundo.
see his room full of sabers. I mean, this is saber talk after all. I mean, that is what it is about, people. If you didn't like sabers, you wouldn't be here. If you didn't like Star Wars, you wouldn't be here.
That's right.
And I'm speaking for myself, and I'm sure these guys would agree with me. For those of you who are watching with us tonight, we certainly appreciate you watching us. From the bottom of our hearts, thank you for watching, and make sure that you guys like and subscribe to each and every one of these guys. Great guys, get a hold of them if you need to, and hit them up if you have a serious question about something after you have done your research and you can't find the answer. Hit them up. I mean, yeah.
I see Bobby's asking for my website. You can reach me on Facebook, and that's pretty much the only place you're going to reach me. My Etsy store is currently closed. I have it on vacation just because I stopped selling stuff on Etsy. Like, my stuff is still there, but I'm not selling it from Etsy because they charge way too much, and I'm not about to give them money for my talents. So if you need anything machined or any parts, just message me direct on Facebook. And unfortunately, I can't put in links because I'm not logged in. I just jumped on the link and I'm here. So I can't answer anybody's questions as far as me type in a comment to do that. But I will, when I get off, I'll get back on and do it through my YouTube channel.
Yeah, and if you guys want to belong to what I think is one of the best, coolest groups on Facebook, Universal Lightsaber Community, you can always find Rob on there too. That's his baby.
That's where you'll find me. That's exactly
It's
where
awesome.
you'll find me.
Everyone in there is super cool and chill, and they're just great.
And you said it was Universal Lightsaber Group?
Community.
Community. Yeah.
ULC.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Just want to make sure that
after the video, I'll put up the links for you guys in the comments.
Cool. So see, people, no excuse. There you go. There's another avenue right there for all kinds of stuff, man.
All right, let's get back to Obi-Wan. How is it going to end?
Obi-Wan.
How is this going to end? What do you think, Dave?
Come on, Harris. You called the last one. You do it. Come on.
I think
What do you
Harris
wanna
might
say?
be onto something that they're going to team up, but obviously the secret doesn't get out about the kids. We know that. Yeah, I don't know. Disney does a great job of keeping all this a big secret. So
Here's a question
Don't
for you.
forget
Why
also-
did Vader leave her alive?
Why is
Why did Vader leave her alive?
I know he did, but do you think he thought she was going to die? You think
No,
he thought you think he thought
I'm
he
sure
killed
he
her?
left her because
No.
he wants her to get that anger, that vengeance, and maybe he can use her or thinks he could probably use her down the line for more stuff.
You think he can turn her? You think he can turn her back into an actual Sith?
Well, she does have that hate. She did display it, that anger that she went at him, and with even knowing that she wasn't going to win that match, and she still was fighting him.
So I think you guys are getting ahead of yourself a little bit. The last thing we saw at the end of the last episode was Luke laying in a bed at 10 years old.
Yeah.
So
No, you're right about that.
I think that's going to open the door for let's bring Luke into this series, 10-year-old Luke. We're going to learn a little bit more about him. And
Don't you think it's a little too late to kind of try to expand on this story unless they do a season 2? If they're going to do a season 2, then I think they're going to transition to his story.
I did hear that they're going to continue it on, and I don't know what that means. I don't know if they're going to make more episodes, season 2. I mean, they're not stupid. They want to make money. And if they feel that it's selling and it's popular, they'll make more, They'll make more.
What if What if
But-
Reva tries to go assassinate Luke and Obi-Wan stops her? I just kind of had that thought. Is that a
Yeah,
possibility?
I think that's more
she's-
likely.
I think
to
she's
happen.
going back to Tatooine. We're going to bring Luke into it. I think we're going to see her and Obi-Wan team up, maybe fight Vader again. But I mean, nobody's going to win. There's no win because nobody can win because that would affect the outcome of Episode 4.
I like Kyber Saber's comment. I think Reva and Kenobi team up to take on Vader, and then Reva sacrifices herself to allow Kenobi to escape and protect Luke.
Could
Maybe
be.
she will be turned back to the light side because of her sacrifice. I
be.
think that's a good possibility.
That's interesting. Well, Kyber Tech says, I think Reva Kenobi team up to take on Vader. Then Reva sacrifices herself to allow Kenobi. Oh, I think you read that, did you?
Yeah, I
Or
just
not?
read that.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. And then Felicia is going. Reva's going after the kids. Obi-Wan left her and didn't help her off Vader, so she won't trust Obi-Wan again. And Reva wants Vader to suffer.
I don't think that she sacrificed herself to, or because I don't think she'll be mad at Obi because he left. I think she sacrificed herself to allow him the time to leave.
That's what I think too. Yeah, I believe that. She wanted to go after. She knew what she was doing, and like Obi said that you're hunting Vader. She knew she couldn't beat him, and even Obi-Wan told her, you can't beat him alone. So, to me, in my honest opinion, is that she slowed him down so that they could get out of there.
I mean, they were
And that's
pretty
what
much
her
already
intent
gone
was.
anyways by the time she showed up. But it might have. I think it was a little bit of both. I didn't think she intentionally tried to get at Vader so that he can further get away. I think that was unintentional, more so than intentional. She just wanted to get him taken out.
But I feel like we know Reva's going to go back and try to visit Owen, yeah?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Where's that going to go?
Hey, guys, I think it's
We
way
shall
past my
see.
bedtime. I got to bail. I'm actually having trouble keeping my eyes open.
All right, Harris.
All right,
You have a
Harris.
Love you
great
guys.
night,
I'm gonna
buddy.
bail. I'll see y'all next week. We'll see what happens this week, this Wednesday night,
Grand finale.
and we'll talk about it next week.
Going to be crazy.
Absolutely.
I'll catch you guys all later.
All right, have a good one.
Have a good one, Harris.
Be good, guys.
Yep.
Always.
Actually looks really good with the four of us on there. Like frames it all out. That's pretty cool.
It does. It does. It's been such a great time, A lot of laughing, a lot of information, and
time's flying.
It does. It does. So Dave, what time is it over there right now on your side of the
9:23.
9? See, it's 11:23 on my side.
Oh dang! So it's late. Well, it is a democracy, man. You guys let me know when you want to close this down. I just figure we just keep going.
I'm not worried, man. I'm usually on my time. I'm usually up till 1:30, almost 2, man. So,
well, before we close it out, I had a question for you guys. You don't have to answer it now because we can go ahead and end it. But what I want to know is, Barbara and I talk about this quite a bit. And you guys think about it over the week, and then Monday maybe we'll talk about it. I don't want to end it on a downer. It's not really a downer. It's sort of a philosophical question. Is like, what do you guys think it will take 100, 200 years, maybe reasons why eventually Star Wars will start to fade away? As far as like, it's such a weird thought. Like, I can't even imagine a world without it, but like, is it going to happen? Anyways.
Honestly, right now, I don't think so. Honestly, I don't think so because I think it's
500
going
years from now, if we survive.
Well, 500 years from now, after we're gone, I think it's going to
No,
get.
I just mean the human race. Like, God, will Star Wars still be around in 500 years if we don't mess up?
Well, if the human race goes, then yes, Star Wars will go, of course.
Of course.
But if the human race stays and lives and so forth and prospers, I think it's going to be a time where actually Star Wars becomes a reality. I
Unless
mean,
it's real already in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah.
it
So,
could be.
so
It
to
could
answer
be.
your question, I can easily answer with just look at Halloween, look at dinosaurs. Like
Right.
it's a
True.
story. There's lore. There's something to it, and we hang on to it. We can do as many Dracula movies as we want. We can do as many werewolf movies as we want, as many Frankenstein movies as we want. That's never gonna end. It'll always be there because it's our culture. And Star Wars is a culture. It is like religion. It's not going anywhere.
That is true.
Yeah.
Now they've opened up like legit Jedi academies and stuff all over the world. It's freaky.
Space Ghost, it's real already. Yes.
Yeah, there he is.
I mean, it's coming super close, guys. That reality for Star Wars world is here. I mean, the military is already making, stuff that we don't even know about that it could possibly be there already. As far as spaceships go, we could have one from Area 51, and we don't even know because they're not saying anything. And then also, in the future, vehicles are going to get smaller, faster, more efficient, we may not even have gasoline in the future, and who knows, our fossil fuels are going to go bye-bye, and we're going to need something different. And then here comes what? Kyber crystals, everything else, other kinds of fuels, electricity. They're already doing the hybrids, right? They're already doing the hybrid vehicles. So by the time you know it, it's going to be an all electrical vehicle. And then the vehicles are good. Jetpacks, right? Space. I mean, shit.
Jetpacks already exist.
Jetpacks already exist.
Already
Exactly.
exist.
Iron Man shit. You'd think though that
Exactly.
I don't know. You'd think Area 51 would hook Elon Musk up so we could speed things up a little bit and get some other humans on some other planets. What the heck?
Well, and if you look at research of what's going on, there is a shit ton of research with magnetic forces on terms of propulsion and so forth. It's unreal with magnetism and propulsion what is going on right now. We're not even aware of what really is going on with the military and so forth, but there's things that have been leaked out that magnetic propulsion is already here. It's just a matter of time when they want to release it.
With the whole Tic Tac sightings over the Pacific and stuff, I think that's that type of technology for sure. And it's just so badass that no one can figure it out or detect it. And so they're just like, look at this shit. Like, definitely.
Well, I'm sure somebody will figure it out and leak that information out somewhere.
It is freaky. Very freaky.
But the idea of having that kind of being able to even just levitate from magnetism is mind-boggling,
Agreed. Totally agree.
What is it in Back to the Future, man? We're gonna have those fucking boards for real.
The hoverboards.
I can't wait. I just got my electric scooter. It's a skateboard electric scooter going that I can ride around. Got that going like the other week. It's been down for a couple of years. I bought new batteries. I'm like, man, this is great. I wish my car would do this. Just plug it in. One day, it's gonna happen.
One day.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Everybody. Yep. All right, guys. Well, this has been awesome. If you guys want to wrap it up, we can do that right now.
Yeah, I'm good. I gotta wake up early anyways.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, I gotta wake up and put a new tire on a boat, so that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, that's fun.
Because it ain't electric. All right. Hey,
well, let me take the time real quick for everybody that joined us tonight, that was in the chat. Jim, Chuck, Space, Titan, Felicia, Jim, you know, everybody that has been in the chat and so graciously, you know, chatting with us. Thank you so much for being here with us. And I know that, you know, we all appreciate it. These guys appreciate it. I hope we have informed a lot of the audience of certain things. I hope you enjoyed this, you know, this broadcast and enjoyed us in terms of information, in terms of fun, in terms of talking Obi-Wan, sabers, and so forth. So, you know, from the bottom of my heart, you know, thank you for joining us, everyone.
Absolutely. Agreed.
And thank you guys for, you know, allowing me to be here. And Space, thank you so much as well.
Yep. Thanks, guys, for being here. And thanks, Space, for letting me host the show tonight. Hopefully I didn't wreck the Destiny. I guess I'll hear from you tomorrow if I got any damages to pay for on your ship, dude. And hopefully you're safe. I hope the Empire or Disney didn't get you. I mean, you've been dogging all them writers. I'm worried about you out there, bro. So be safe. They're coming after you.
I'll see one of those mouse droids. If something happened to Anthony, I know I'll see a few of those mouse droids coming to my door.
That's right. Shoot them down. All right, guys.
All right, gentlemen. May the force be with you. Have a good night.
May the force be with you, Mundo.
Everybody.
Out.
Yeah, man. In true space fashion, click.